Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be reviewing the book called Split by Swati Avasthi. The cover that I have on the Kindle is honestly really not that great, and there's a different cover when you look on like Amazon and Goodreads and stuff. If I can find it, I'll pop it up here on the screen because it's much better. So Split. As you guys know, I've been reading a lot lately since I finished Anathalion. I got, honestly, Anathalion by H.A. Pruitt, shout out to her, who's a good friend of mine and my editor, got me, I've been back into reading since I read Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses series, but ever since then I had a pattern of like reading a little and then I'd take a long break and then I would just read if something came up that was good. So Anathalion last month for February's book club that I did got me back into reading and I got obsessed. So since then I read The Winter Prince and I read Sanctuary of the Shadow, and then I read this book, Split. So after I finished Sanctuary of the Shadow, I was in the mood for something particular. I loved the male protagonist of that one, and so I was looking for more of a fantasy style. I don't remember how I stumbled on this book, but it was shortly after I finished Sanctuary of the Shadow, so it's only been like, I mean, it was like probably within a couple of days of finishing that book, so it was like, it's been within the last like week, or 2 weeks at most. So I stumbled on it, found it, and I read the sample because I have to, if I'm buying a book, I have to read the sample first before I buy it to know if I'm going to like it or not. And as you guys know, I don't read books that are teenagers. Anathalion was the one exception because Heather Pruitt, H.A. Pruitt, the author, did a really fantastic job making them relatable. So the main character in this book, Split, is 16 years old. However, he is way mature beyond his age because he is abused by his dad. So the whole story is about a teen runs away from an abusive household and goes to stay with his brother, his older brother, who ran away from the abuse years ago. And it's a lot about the brothers' relationships because the main character, Jace, the main character's name is Jace, and then the older brother's name is Christian. Christian kind of like abandoned Jace when he escaped the abusive household, and so there's a lot of like anger and resentment there, and they were both severely abused, and it gets really, really heavy. And I honestly, like, it makes me sound like a psychopath, but I really enjoyed it. The way that the author wrote Jace's, like, his voice, his character voice, was so unique, and like I could hear every bit of it, and he had this really clipped attitude that you would, I don't know, it's just the way that it was written was really well done. And one would say that it was, like, editing wise, I've seen editors not want like authors to have that kind of style of talking because it's either very passive or there's a lot of fragments. But the thing about this book is it's written in present tense and in first person, so it's like, and there's a lot of like telling, but it's like, well, if it's real, when I'm in a circumstance, I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm not going to like describe my body language or something. So to me, it makes more sense, given that it's first person present tense, that it very much is just like Jace being Jace. And again, his character voice really drew me in. He has this really like, I don't know how to explain it, but this really clipped attitude that he just, it's how he deals with things. It's how he copes with things. And it was instantly like, I really got into that. I really got into his head. And it deals with a lot of heavy subjects, mainly abuse, mostly abuse actually, but I don't know. I don't know what more to say. Like, I am a little lost for words because I just really, really enjoyed it from start to finish. I think I finished it in a few days. Like, I would have finished it last night, but I didn't have enough time to do my review afterwards, and so I purposefully did not finish it, because I like to do these review videos as soon as I finish the book, so it's like fresh in my head. So it took me an extra day longer than it should have, but it didn't take me very long to finish it at all. And there's not a whole lot of flashbacks actually. Like, it's focused on how he coped with abuse, and like the whole premise of the story and the title Split is that once you split from your past, like, it doesn't really stay in your past. Like, he basically tried to run away, but it kind of like follows him, and so there's a lot of drama, a lot of dealing with it. And the problem is that both Jace and Christian are very closed off characters, and yet they're both trying to deal with this. And Christian in particular, the older brother, has a mentality of not asking questions, don't ask, don't tell, and it's because he's very private and stuff, so he doesn't really ask Jace what has happened or anything like that. And Jace is he doesn't think that he needs to talk about it, but he does. And then Christian has a girlfriend who is some sort of psychologist or something, and so she's constantly trying to psychoanalyze them, and they both don't like that. And it's just how Jace copes with what he's done. And another theme that I really liked, overall, what I loved about this book was the themes and how it handles a realistic version of abuse. Not only is the abuse, the aftermath of injuries and dealing with stuff, realistic, but the themes were also very, to me, they were really important themes, the brother relationship between them, being open and honest and not lying, and that right amount of respecting people's privacy but talking about it because you need to talk about it and open it up. And so those are some of the things that I really liked. And I forgot what I was going to say earlier. Oh, okay, I remember. So another thing that I really loved was one of the themes of, this is not, statistically, you hear how either people who are abused sometimes can become abusers themselves. Either they do or they don't, basically. And it touches on that, and Jace has a big anger problem, and there's a twist and stuff. I won't spoil that for you guys, obviously, but Christian is one of the ones that kind of shell up, I guess is the only way I know how to describe it. And Jace kind of does, but he has so much anger issues because of what he's been through, and he's haunted by that, and he thinks he's too much like his dad. He worries he's going to turn into his dad. And so they deal with the realistic way of somebody actually trying to break the cycle and fight through his anger. That was a bad pun. And work through his anger so that he doesn't hit people, so that he doesn't abuse people, and the work that it takes to actually realistically work through your anger. And I'm not saying I'm an abuser or anything, but I do have a lot of anger issues, so a lot of the techniques and a lot of that part of the story and that part of the theme was really not relatable, but it was kind of relatable in a way, and really, really good and well handled. And the other thing is that their mom is still with the dad, and the sad fact of, people either not having the means to leave or the courage to leave, or whatever reasons, it dealt with that, and how the two brothers, their mom is still there and trying to get her to leave, and when do you let it go? You can try all you want to get them to leave, you can offer as much help as you want, but if they're kind of stuck in this cycle, how do you adjust with that? And so again, one of the things that the main thing that I love about this book is how it handles all of these heavy topics and all of these heavy themes and everything that the two characters, Christian and Jace, particularly go through. And again, I never once saw any editing mistake that stood out to me. I never once noticed. And I think, again, it was because it's written in first person present tense. So it was just to me, it was Jace telling me his story. And it made it not only more realistic, but I didn't see any grammar mistakes because of that as well. And then, yeah, so honestly, was there anything I would change? No, probably not. I really don't. I usually try to find at least one thing to critique usually when I do these book reviews, but I'm telling you, this is a perfect book. Honestly, I have nothing I would change about it. If I was trying to search for something just to be picky, I would say I'm more interested in the story of an older brother protecting his younger brother. So Christian kind of interested me in getting his perspective. I loved Jace and the way that he was created and handled, though. And that's just me being really, really picky and more just curious. And that's just kind of a really loose thing. Honestly, I have nothing bad to say about this book. And since I wanted to finish it yesterday, but I didn't have the time to do my review, to film my review of it, I waited until tonight. I have had time to sit on it and think. The one thing, I guess there is one thing, it doesn't end quite how I was hoping it would, but it's more realistic and stuff. And there were it tied up loose ends, but I kind of just want to know where Jace's life ends up, you know what I mean? Like, it ties up the loose ends that it needs to tie up, but it leaves a few things open because it's a realistic book, and in real life, you don't get happy fairy tale endings with everything loose ends tied up with a little bow on top to make it look pretty. That's not how real life works. And so, other than the ending, so if you're looking for a happy ending or a cozy feel-good book, this is probably not it. It's a clean book, I would say. Ish. There are a few, if I remember right, there is a couple of makeout scenes, but I don't think it gets anything spicy. And of course it deals with abuse, so there are a few violent situations, especially being violent to children and minors. And yeah, I mean, sometimes Jace thinks very much like a guy, if you know what I mean, so it's not really spicy, but it does have a few mentions similar to that. So other than that, I would say it's a pretty clean book. It never triggered me or affected me negatively in any way. So just be cautious about those particular things if those are sensitive to you. And again, if you're looking for a cozy feel-good book with a happy ending, it does end happily, but it doesn't end, not every part of it ends happily, if that's, you know, so to speak. So yeah, that's basically all I've got to say. I wish I had more to say, but it really is, for me, maybe it's just me personally enjoying it so much that I just don't see anything wrong with it. But personally, I would give this book 5 stars. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't really have any critiques other than, like I said, the ending just being more realistic instead of happy and cozy. But when you read a book like this, like, you kind of expect more of a realistic ending. But that is my review of Split by Swati Avasthi. Again, it's really good, and if she ever does like a sequel or has any other books like it, I would love to read them. And yeah, 5-star reviews. So if you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And in the meantime, if you liked my review of this book, perhaps maybe you are looking for something really cozy, check out my review of The Other World by Abby Emmons. It is a really feel-good, cozy romance, and it does have a happy ending, and it's so good, but it also has a brotherly relationship, which I did like in this one of Split between Jace and Christian. That one has a brother relationship that I really, really enjoyed, and one of them, they both have this tone of voice that I really, really got into, like I did with Jace. So check that out. You don't want to miss it. I give you all the details on that book in that video.